talk about the decision to loosen restrictions on long-range weapons for Ukraine?
So just a couple of things there that I do want to add is I want to be really clear. I'm not going to get into specifics about Ukraine's operation from the podium today. That is not something that we're going to do, and that's not something we normally do. What I will say is something I'll just reflect on something that the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, said earlier this week, which was the major escalation we're seeing is that Russia has gone to another country from another part of the world. North Korea brought in thousands of their troops to the front lines and have added them into this war. This is a significant change and one that we warned the Russians about before they did it. We continue to talk to our allies and partners about this, and as it relates to any operations on the ground, this is something for the Ukrainians to speak to directly.
Just staying on Ukraine for a second, with regard to escalation, is there concern that Putin changing Russia's nuclear rules is sort of suggesting that the president's initial instincts on allowing long-range missiles further into Russia could amount to a a dangerous escalation of the war?
I mean, look,
this
this
is right. Was it right?
And just to kind of reiterate what the National Security Advisor said, right? And you've heard this from other members of the NSC team, which is the escalation at every turn, at every step, is coming from Russia. They're the ones who are escalating this. They're the ones who started this war. It is because of their aggression into a sovereign territory, Ukraine. And this war can end today. You hear say this over and over again. It can, if Russia would stop the war and stop what they're doing with their aggression. So this is an aggression from their side, and we've been very clear about that. You just heard me lay out a couple things that the National Security Advisor said just earlier this week. What they're doing, thousands of troops from another country that is now part of what Russia's doing with their aggression into Ukraine. So this is their aggression, not Ukraine's, not ours. Okay.
Just to follow up here, for a long time the White House argued that using these long-range ATACMS missiles into Russia to attack targets inside Russia would escalate the war, would really invite retaliation. So why now? Why change the policy now?
I'm not going to get into specifics. I'm just not going to get into specific about Ukraine's operations. Not something that I'm going to do today. But I want to be really clear.
But I guess I'm asking about the specifics of the White House's decision to change policy.
I'm just telling you that I'm not going to get into specifics from here from the podium. I'm going to be very clear about that. And what I have said is, when you're thinking about bringing in thousands of troops to the front lines to add to the war, right? These are North Korean troops, as you know. That is the aggression from Russia's part. That's their aggression. And we're going to continue to be there for Ukraine. This is a president that has led on making sure Ukraine has what it needs in the battlefield. He's the one that rallied countries, more than 50 countries, to make sure that Ukraine got what it needed. But when we're talking about aggression here, or we're talking about escalation, pardon me, more so escalation, this is Russia's the one who's been escalating every step of the way here.
And so if I'm hearing you right, it was that escalation, the North Korean troops,
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I'm not going to get into specifics about Ukraine's operations from the podium today. You asked me about escalation, and I'm being very clear where the escalation is coming from, but I'm not going to get into specifics.
2 more months left of this administration. Yeah. Are there new goals or definite goals that the president has in how to support Ukraine in these final 2 months? Realistically, what difference can he make in these last 2 months of his term?
I mean, look, I think the president has made a whole lot of difference. Let's not forget, as before Russia invaded into Ukraine, the president was the one that warned about that happening. He was the one, and we were able to share that information with Ukraine. He's the one that made sure that NATO was stronger, the NATO alliance was strengthened. He led that effort. He was the one that helped rally more than 50 countries to get back to Ukraine. Let's not forget, and you all reported this, within days, we were hearing over and over again, within days, Kyiv would fall. We were hearing that over and over again. And today, because, yes, of this president and what he's been able to do, but also the bravery of the Ukrainians, they continue to fight. They continue to fight on. And so the president, in September, as you all know, we've talked about this from the podium, talked about surging the security assistance. We made an announcement yesterday about the kind of the next assistance that we were providing, and we're going to continue to do that, surge that assistance, make sure that Ukrainians have what they need on the battlefield to push back against Russia's aggression. Again, Nancy.